Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to my 5-day series, moving from confusion to clarity. It's me, Dina. I'm just here drinking tea out of a planter because I just decided none of my regular cups were big enough. So here we go, planter. I believe in deep nourishment. So I'm so happy that you're here, whether you're here now or watching this later. It's me, Dana, if you don't know me, Dana Balicki. I live out here in Joshua Tree. I'm a transformational coach. Hi, Miss Tiffany. Hi, Angelisa. So here's what we're up to, right? We've got 5 days. Today's day 1. 5 days of some deep work. So like roll up your sleeves, get out your journal. My cat is like wandering around here and he probably like wants to go right now. This is when he's decided he wants to go. Hold on. Come on. It's always exciting around here. So we've got 5 days of moving from confusion to clarity. Today is day 1. And today I really wanted to dig into 3 things that keep you stuck in confusion and how to get clear. And so there are more than 3 things that probably keep you stuck in confusion. And that's, that's a given. But the 3 that I'm going to share today, and I want you to, like I said, take out your journal. If you've got like I'm going to try to keep this at like 20 minutes, which if you know me, like we're going to be cranking here. So planter tea. So we're gonna go through these first 3 things, and you can like just notice like what resonates for you, and something might land right in the moment. Like I'm gonna share something and you might be like, oh yeah, that's me, totally. Or you might be like, I'm not sure, that sort of resonates, but I'm not exactly sure what that's about. So just stick with it. Hi everyone. Hi Ashley. Hi Blaine. Also good to see you. Tifrin, Hennock, some of these names, it's like, I'm just saying hi. I'm not sure your real name, but we're going to go with it. So, hi Emma. So let's get into it. You ready? I can't really roll up my sleeves because they're like these sort of puffy things, but let's go. You ready? Number 1. So these are the 3 things you may notice are keeping you stuck in confusion. And when I say stuck in confusion, right, you like feelings of, you have this sense of like, I'm confused and I don't know what to do. Like that's something that comes up for you. Does that resonate with anyone? Throw up a little like, emoji, taco, hey Jen, hearts, whatever, if any of this resonates, or if you have questions that come up throughout. So the idea of confusion is that like, if you feel stuck in it, hey Liz, oh my gosh, so good to see you all. That when you like confusion, it can show up in a lot of different ways. And we've got like, it's this sense of like not feeling like there's a clear way forward. You may just generally feel it and just sort of like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Or there might be really specific things, like really specific decisions that you're trying to make in your life, and you're feeling like, I yes or no, right? Or like this or that, or this city or that city, or this job or not this job, right? So it could be a big feeling. It could be, sort of like muddled in between, or it could be like a really specific instance. So the first thing that I've noticed that I did for many years, and like I can still do, I'm not immune to all this, I'm just super aware of it and can work with it, right? Which is like the great thing, is that we can treat confusion as a safe space. We can have like confusion can actually feel sort of safe, right? Even though confusion feels, can feel like really icky and uncomfortable. Hey, Marianne. We can like find, it can be a little safe place for us, right? So the idea here is that when you feel confused and you don't know what to do, you're trying to make a big decision, or you're just trying to like find your way forward in your life somehow, and you find yourself being like, well, yeah, there's that, but I don't know. And you keep finding yourself being like, I don't know. Is that the right decision? Maybe that's the wrong decision? I'm not sure, right? You keep finding your way back there. Does this resonate for anyone? Let me know. That what's happening is that you have a sense that there's a big decision to be made, and it feels really big, and you're afraid of the bigness of it, or you're afraid of what's going to happen if you make the big decision. Does this resonate? So it's like, instead of making the big decision, it's actually easier, even though it's still uncomfortable, to stay in this confused state, to like stay in the place where it's like, you know, where it feels a little, getting some thumbs up here. So, you know, it's like, it feels a little more comfortable, right? It feels like, well, you know, I know how to, it's like you actually know how to navigate the confusion, right? So that's number one. And I have so much more, and I'm going to unpack this over the next 5 days, but I'm just sort of laying some of this out. So the first thing is that confusion is a safe haven, that even though you want to make a big decision and you're saying you want change, you're like, yes, I want this to change. Yes, I want things to move. When confronted with like what you feel you may have to do in order to change and all the fears that come up, it's actually easier to stay in confusion. You sort of navigate it. I think about it like your hometown, right? Like where you grew up, you probably like know it like the back of your hand, right? Like that's confusion for us sometimes. It's like we know how to be in it. We know how to be, and then like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll just go back to this thing that I'm doing over here. I'll just keep myself busy with this over here, right? Anyone? And so that's how we can stay. We actually, confusion feels safer than the big leap we think we need to make, or all the fears that come up when we think about our big fear. So number 2 is another way we get stuck in confusion or stuck with confusing feelings is we make the question external. Right? So when we make the question external, what we're doing is we're trying to like sort of mentally crank our way to clarity. We're like, okay, I've got a decision to make, and it's like all up here, right? It's like, and so yes, it's your mind, so that is internal, but it's external in that we're like, okay, so, you know, what is that person gonna think? Or maybe I should ask this person, or maybe it's about like that city, or maybe it's about that job, or maybe it's about that person, or maybe, you know, and we just sort of like, we're looking all around us for answers. And it's really an inside job, right? Clarity is an inside job. And yes, of course, sometimes there are decisions and you're like, oh, yeah, I have to actually, you have to make decisions. I'm not saying that that's not real. But what we miss a lot of times when we're trying to make big decisions about our lives, Blaine says, when we're trying to make big decisions about our lives, is that we forget that it's really like we're trying to make a decision to change something externally so that we feel something different, right? So it's like, oh, I want a new job because I want this new feeling, or I need this new experience in my life, right? Even if it's like, I need more money, but like I need more money because I want to feel this way, right? So it's like, it all does really come down to feelings. It is very much an inside job. And so when we're externalizing it and we're just looking at everything outside of us and we're not engaging the inside of like, how do I want to feel, right? Like, what's the experience that I really want to have? It's like that right there is where clarity is actually born and comes from. Okay? Is that resonating with anyone? I see Ashley likes clarity is an inside job. Totally. So, it's like when we externalize and we keep it, we just keep trying to make decisions outside of us, and we're not tuning in about like, well, what do I really like? What do I really want to feel? What do I really want this life experience to be like? Hey, Miss Sarah. That when we do that, we're sort of trying to do our way there instead of being. And you're trying to do all those things because you want to be a different way. So if we start with the being, right, or we just really incorporate the being, that will totally contribute, right? That will help shift out of confusion. Hey, Serafina. So, number 3. So one was confusion is a safe haven, right? Oh, thanks, Sarah. 2 is we make the question external when it's really an inside job. And 3 is we don't honor the time of inquiry, right? Like confusion often feels uncomfortable. And I believe that, we definitely get programming that tells us that our knowing is that our not knowing is bad, and that knowing and being clear is good. And like, of course we experience like, oh yeah, I want clarity. Here we are talking about clarity and how to get away from confusion and towards clarity. But I want to like sort of make this a little more nuanced. And if you know me, you know I love the nuance. Because it's so, it's like we're leaving their time of binaries, right? Anyone feel me? If you missed it, I'm drinking out of a planter. Don't mind me. So we're leaving the time of binaries. So it's not just like, oh, this is good, this is bad. It's like, ooh, what's in the middle? What's my middle? What's my middle way, right? What's the middle path? And so I believe that you can honor this time of confusion and shift it a little in your mind as like a deep time of inquiry and exploration, and to let, to really let that be precious time. Right? I'm going to talk a little bit more in one of my other, one of the other days, I think day 3, about active waiting. So if you've worked with me at all, you know about active waiting, but it's always fun to explore again. So come on over. And just as a reminder, I'm going to be live every day from here to Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So you can tune in or you can watch the replays in my stories here. So this last one is like not honoring that time of inquiry as something precious, as something that's like really going to give you a lot. So if you've been following me, you know that whether you got my emails or you're following me on Instagram and you sort of seen me over the past like couple weeks, I've been in this like inquiry about whether or not I want to have children. And I'm not going to go way into it right now, but just one of the big insights that I've had, and like I teach clarity, I teach this work, right? So to like have more insights about clarity is always awesome. And I know that like the amount of clarity that I'm having right now, my ability to like really dive deep into some difficult questions is because I've done this work. Anyway, blah, 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 babies and like children, and that, where I am on my path is one thing, but what I'm noticing is that like this time of exploration is so rich, and it's showing me so much about my life everywhere, right? So it's like this curiosity that I'm able to have right now about my life and about how I want to feel and what I want to experience. And like looking at all these different parts of my life, like that's, like I'm able to get away from this story about me being confused and not having an answer, not knowing what to do, and like being in this place of like, wow, I'm really curious about my life. I'm curious about how other people make these decisions. It's like the curiosity has lit me up. Right? And people are just like coming out from everywhere. People I don't know, like I know on Instagram, are like writing me messages and emails, and we're meeting up in real life. It's been, and sharing fish tacos. It's amazing. Hey, Rosie. And so it's like, it's opened up. My curiosity has opened up my life. Right? So shifting from this idea of like, I'm confused and I have to figure it out, to like, I'm being curious about this time. And again, I'll talk more about active waiting and sort of like even how to go even deeper into that on day 3. So Sunday, I know Sunday, but come on over. So those are my 3, right? So those are my top 3, like things that are, keeping you stuck in confusion, in confusing feelings. And so I'm going to spend the next couple minutes here talking about how to get to clarity. And I've sort of been weaving that in. And of course, we've got the rest of our like several days together here to talk about that too. I guess one, I want you, so now we're shifting, like, all right, so we've got those top 3, right? Like confusion is a safe place that you might be like hanging out in because it feels safer than making the big decision. 2, you're externalizing the question. It's really an inside job. It's really about like how you want to feel, not all the external things, not the job, the person, the place so much. And then 3, you're not really honoring the time, this time of inquiry, as something that's like really precious and special and can show you so much about your entire life, right? It's so much bigger than the question, right? Than the decision you're trying to make, even if that feels like a really big decision. I promise it's actually bigger. Okay, so now we're switching into the like how to get clear. And one, I want you to notice, are you staying in the safe place, right? Like, what's your relationship to confusion and clarity, right? So like, are you in the place where you're over and over again being like, yeah, I don't know, like maybe no, I don't know. What do you think? Right? Like, are you there? Are you in that feeling? Like, notice, like, do you keep coming back to confusion? Do you keep getting insights? And on day 5 Tuesday, I'm actually going to go deep into your whole inner guidance flow. Like, really, we're going to peel this all the way back, right? But I just want you to notice now and notice over the next few days, right? Like, let the information come up. Because as you say, like, you know, as you like say to the universe, you know, like, oh, I'm willing to look, I'm willing to notice, I'm willing to see what's really happening. Like, I promise you it's going to start coming, right? Because that's what happens when, you know, it's like it effervesces up, like champagne, the stuff comes to the top, right? So, hey, Dean. So we've got the noticing. I want you to notice over the next few days if you are staying in the safe place, right? If you're staying in confusion as a safe place, if you know you have a big decision to make and you that feels scary. So like, if there's a big decision, I want you to name it, right? Write it down. Maybe you've never written it down. I don't know, but writing shit down makes it real. So write it down. Like, what's the big decision? Or even if it's just like, I'm trying to find my way forward with my life. Cool. I'm trying to make a big decision about my career, about my partnership, or about whatever, right? Like, I want you to write that down. And then I want you to notice, like, have you been staying in confusion? Like, you know, it's a little unconscious, but let's make it conscious. Because only when we make shit conscious can we change it. Otherwise, nothing. Right? Otherwise, it just stays in the realm of like fogginess. So, and then we're just sort of like, oh, maybe I'm going to take this class or do this thing and hopefully it makes me feel better, but I don't really know what better is. Anyone feel me? So I want you to notice, like, I want you to write down in your journal or your notepad, whatever you got here, where you're feeling, you know, like, what's the big decision that you're maybe trying to make, even if it just feels like a big sort of vague decision. And then I want you to notice if you're staying stuck in confusion. And you might be like, I don't know if I am. Am I confused about being confused? Just notice over the next few days, if you keep finding like, oh yeah, like maybe that, you get a little insight. And then you just come back like, well, I don't know, right? Do you say, I don't know? Some people say it a lot. They'll be like, blah, 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 I don't know. Like, do you say it, right? Like, notice your language. Right? Like, notice if your body language, are you like, you shrug a lot, like, pay attention, okay? So that's one way. I just want you to bring some awareness of your relationship to confusion, okay? This next one, number 2, is a little, and I'm sort of just doing like 3 and 3 here, but I might throw another one in there. Rosie says yes. Yes, that's happening. So the next one here is, and this one is a practice. All of these are practices. None of these are like, oh, I do it once and then I'm done, right? That's not how life is. It's not how we are, right? We're these ever-evolving beings, right? We're constantly changing. Like I said, I do this work for a living. This is the reason why I'm here on the planet. And I still have insights about it all the time. So it never really stops, you know, sorry, not sorry. So I want you to practice staying in the discomfort. So like I said, on day 3, I'm going to talk more about active waiting. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about fear of change. I'll talk about that at the end here for a sec. So active waiting is like this, you know, how to be in this juicy time of inquiry. But to acknowledge that, like, yes, I'm going to talk about it being juicy and curious, but like, it's also uncomfortable, right? It's also like, we can totally feel uncomfortable in experience discomfort, like when we are not knowing. Remember what I said about like us getting social programming around not knowing as being a bad thing, right? So we're like, oh, I don't know, I'm uncertain, right? So it's like our desire as humans to be certain, and to have certainty, and to like feel like safe and certain is really intense, and we're always looking for it. I think it's really sort of primal for us. There's a beautiful book that I always highly recommend to everyone. Tiffany says very uncomfortable. She knows. It's Pema Children's Taking the Leap. It's really short. It's sweet. I'm actually, I think I'm going to reread it like this week. Because I always get something new from it. But the idea that she talks about, and that I love to talk about too, is like learning how to stay in the discomfort, because we want to get away from discomfort, right? We're like, right? We want to get away from like uncertainty into the certainty. So that's why sometimes when we're staying in a safe place, it's because we feel like we've got like the balance on the boat, right? And we don't want to rock it. We don't want to like splash because we think there's a bunch of fucking sharks in there ready to like tear us to bits. And that's not true. The sharks are not there. You're not even on a boat. Right? So, so notice like that your relationship now to the discomfort, right? Do you want to get away from it? Sarah says staying in the discomfort is so important. I'm learning I've made a lot of bad choices just to avoid the discomfort. Totally, right? And because we're trying to like, as a side note, and I'm not going to get off in too much of a tangent here because I'm noticing the time, and I said I would be 20 minutes. We're at 23. We're going to keep going here, just a couple more. But when we're like, no, discomfort, uncertainty, right? I'm going to resist it, right? We can do this with emotions. We can do this with a whole lot of things in our lives. That when we do that, we're actually creating an energetic connection to that thing. And we're just then bringing discomfort in. Like, Sarah, how comfortable were the things that came about in your life when you tried to get away from the discomfort? Sounds like you said they were bad choices. So, right, we want to like notice what that, hi Ira, we want to notice like that when we're resisting, we're trying to get away from something. And I don't mean like if there's danger or you're in like a dangerous, violent, toxic relationship, like run away. Okay. But, or get out of that and get safe. But most of the time, right, when we're not in those kinds of situations, we're like trying to get away from uncomfortable feelings, and then we're then we're creating resistance, and then we're usually just bringing more of what we don't want in, and we're actually like pushing, like, because we're not listening to our inner guidance, we're like sort of severing ties. I've got so much hand stuff going on today. Hand dancing, I call it. We're severing ties to our own self-trust, which there's a cost to that. Okay, so how to get clear. The first one is notice if you're staying in that safe place of confusion, right? Even though it's uncomfortable, like, if you're staying there because the choice feels too big and the decision feels too big, so you're staying there. So I want you to create some awareness around that over the next several days. And then the second one is practice staying in the discomfort, right? So instead of, Sarah says, so instead of like what I mean by that is like acknowledging when you're like, whoa, I feel uncomfortable. Like this feels a little scary, or like I feel some fear coming up, in this decision or just in my life, or an uncomfortable feeling, instead of trying to get away from it, right? Like getting on your phone, tuning out, taking a drink, or, whatever it is that you do, right? You might even use like yoga as a coping mechanism to like not feel intense feelings, right? And to not have like, I'll just keep it there, to not feel intense, uncomfortable feelings, right? There's a lot of coping mechanisms we all have. And I want you to practice and like just looking at it and being like, whoa, I totally want to run away from this right now. And if that's as far as you get, good. Just practice that for a few days, okay? We'll keep talking more about it. But just like notice the discomfort, and then just notice that like you want to get away from it, and see if you can just take a couple of breaths in it. Ooh, I can feel this is really resonating for someone because my heart is like all of a sudden pounding. Whew. Okay, so just look at it, right? You creating that observation and that awareness is actually creating space for transformation. Okay, last one. This is my favorite. I was going to give you another one, but I'm going to include that one in tomorrow's class. Slow down, right? So like in order to observe something, you can't just be like through your life, right? Because shit's just like whizzing by you. You have to look at it, right? You have to slow down. You have to like, oh, I'm feeling that right now, right? You have to honor it. And so I really believe that like moving slowly is 100,000 million % the way forward for us as humanity. Yeah. Like I think it's our like secret sauce. And because we've been taught that everything needs to go so fast, we need to make decisions, we need to be clear, we need to like accomplish this and do this and right? Anyone feel that? Anyone feel that push, that rush on a daily basis? I do. I live in the freaking desert. If you weren't like in this little thing, I would flip you around, right? But like I live in the desert and I still feel it. Of course I felt it all my years in New York. But if you feel it too, just shoot up a little, something. But most of it, all of us are in, I see the hearts coming. So most of us are in this place where we're rush. And so we got to slow down. So I want you to practice. You can go to my, I have a sweet little training. It's an audio. So it's just a downloadable. It's a guided visualization. It's a grounding meditation and visualization, a little training where I go deeper into slowing down, right? And how we like sort of get out of the swirl. Hey, Michael. And how we get out of the swirl that we're all swimming in, that our culture tells us is the only way to be, the only way to like be successful, the only way to be at peace, the only way to like, have a life that you want is to go super fast. And we know that it's like something in us knows that it's slow, right? Because we're always looking to go slower. It's like, oh, I can't wait to go on vacation where I can just like slow down. But like that can actually be a part of your everyday. More and more. I'm going to teach you how. And that guided visualization, the link is in my bio. Or you can just go to thatclearlife.com and that should take you right to the little sign up, and then you'll get the audio. Listen to it. It's only like 20 or so minutes. And then you can start practicing the grounding every day. It's the key. It's the key to any energetic work, any energetic shift, any life shift. And I say this from direct experience. Okay, so that's it for today. Tomorrow, we are going to go in on fear of change, right? So if you're someone who's like, and I alluded to a little bit today, give you a little taste, but, if you're someone who is like, yeah, I want change, and then you self-sabotage, you procrastinate, you are a perfectionist, you get, you feel like all in the swamp of confusion, you might actually be experiencing like resistance to change, resistance to the change that you say you're calling in. So if any of those things resonated with you, procrastination, self-sabotage, perfectionism, confusion, right? Why we're here today. Tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time, or you can watch the replay later here in my stories. And we're going to go in and we're going to unpack that, and I'm going to give you a little something to work with that. Okay. Any questions, beloveds? Blaine says, all of the above. Well, come on over, baby. I'll be here. Any questions? I just want to make a little space. Okay. So you can always just, here on Instagram, you can go right into my DMs. If you're watching this somewhere else, there'll be a little mechanism for you to ask me a question. I think I'm going to post this on Facebook later. So if you're on Facebook, you can just ask a question in the comments, and let's keep going. So I'll see you tomorrow, and good luck today. Stay aware, right? Like heighten that awareness, of your relationship to confusion. Like, ooh, am I staying in it? Do I do this? Or I don't know. Like, what do you notice it? Let it come up. Bring some awareness to it. That's going to require you to slow down. See what I did there? And then also noticing when you're trying to get away from uncomfortable feelings and like what your coping mechanisms are. Okay? Hey, Adrian, welcome. We're closing, but you can watch the replay in just a few moments. Okay, everyone, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Mwah. Bye.